Okay, what about chromosomal theory? Hmm? Did I do the chromosomal theory?
Yes, ma'am, you did.
Okay, linkage and recombination was also done. Sex
Yes.
determination was also done. Okay. So today I think we have to discuss the disorders only, right? Or mutation. Mutation we have to discuss.
I think from disorders.
Disorders. Okay. All right. Okay, students, please switch on your videos. Let's start the class. I think we haven't discussed pleiotropy, right? So we'll start with pleiotropy, okay? So when we talk about pleiotropy, it refers to the phenomena wherein the you can say mutation, addition, deletion of any one gene leads to multiple phenotypic expressions. Meaning because of alteration in one gene, a lot of phenotype can be affected as such. Example, phenylketonuria. Now, phenylketonuria is a disease which is caused because of the mutation in the gene that is coding for the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. Now, normally, this enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase, it breaks down the phenylalanine into the different amino acid, right? Tyrosine. But here, because of the lack of this enzyme, a person suffers from various different problems such as mental retardation, reduction in hair, skin pigmentation. You see how here, because of the problem in one gene, mutation in one gene, there are so many phenotypic expressions that are observed. So this phenomena wherein we see this is called as pleiotropy. Same exact thing exists in the case of plants as well, wherein the starch synthesis in pea is one such example. Now talking about the Mendelian disorder. So Mendelian disorder and chromosomal disorder. These are the two types of disorders that you have to study. Now Mendelian disorder is the one that is determined by mutation in a single gene. So because of some sort of change, some sort of alteration in the single gene, a lot of phenotypic expression is seen. So that is what we call as a Mendelian disorder. The list of the Mendelian disorders are right in front of you, wherein hemophilia, cystic fibrosis, sickle cell anemia, color blindness, phenylketonuria, and thalassemia are few of them. Now let us discuss the diseases. So now the disease could either be sex-linked disease or it could be autosomal. Amongst the sex linked also, it could be sex linked recessive, which will be expressed in homozygous recessive condition, and sex linked dominant, which can either be, like show itself in recessive, I mean, homozygous or heterozygous, both the conditions. So let us see. This is the whole entire chart, which is very important for you people to remember that hemophilia, which is a recessive disorder, and it is X-linked in nature, meaning it is linked with the X chromosome instead of being linked with the normal body chromosome. Then there's color blindness, which is again a recessive kind, and it is also X-linked. Then we have sickle cell anemia, which is again recessive, but here the nature is autosomal. It is not inherited via the sex chromosome, rather, it is inherited by the body genes. Then we have the phenylketonuria, which is again a recessive disorder, and it is autosomal in nature. Cystic fibrosis, thalassemia, and myotonic dystrophy, all of these are autosomal, but amongst them, myotonic dystrophy is the only one which is dominant in nature, meaning that it will express itself in a homozygous dominant or heterozygous condition. So let's see about that. The first one is color blindness. So here the X chromosome is the mutated chromosome that carries the alphabet C, referring to the color blindness. Like this is how we are showing. So how is it happening? When the male has the X chromosome that is mutated, that male will be considered as the affected male. On the other hand, the homozygous dominant or the homozygously mutated genes will be affected. But if there's one X that carries the C chromosome and the other does not, so then that is a carrier. So the kind of disease that is X-linked, it shows a crisscross inheritance, meaning that it will go from the male to his grandson via the daughter. And in the case of female, it will go from the female to the granddaughter through the son. So this kind of inheritance is what we call as crisscross inheritance. And that is what takes place during the X-linked disorders. So color blindness is the disease wherein because of this mutation, the person can't differentiate between the red and green color, right? As a result of which they have problem in actually maneuvering or normally living or continuing their lives. So that is the case. Now this is it is a sex-linked disorder, right? And red and green color can't be distinguished. Now how can a person get the disorder? When a normal woman is there and a colorblind man is there. They get married and they have children. So amongst them, two children will be the carrier and two children will be normal. If the case is when the normal woman is marrying a colorblind man. Second case, when the woman that is a carrier for the color blindness, when that person is marrying a colorblind man, then in this case the chances increase. So can you all tell me what will be the possibilities in this case of the children? Tell me.
One will be affected.
Affected what?
That
Tell me
will
the genotypes.
X, XC, XC,
Correct. Then
and XY.
XY. Then
XCY.
hmm. Then first this with this, so you have XC, XC. Then this with Y, so you have XC, Y. Then this with this, then you have XCX and then normal XY. So one male is unaffected, one female is affected, one male is affected, and one female is a carrier. So this is the combination of offspring they're going to have. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes.
Second, we have hemophilia. Now, hemophilia is an X-linked recessive trait. Here, the defective blood clotting factor is produced, meaning in this case, the person is not able to clot their blood during the time of injury, or they have some sort of disorder in that way, in which their blood does not coagulate. So here also XH and the normal case, like XHY will be the affected male, XHX will be a carrier female and the one with 2XH will be the affected female. This is also an X-linked disorder and in the recessive nature. The possibility of a female becoming hemophilic is very rare. Why? Because the mother of such a female has to be at least a carrier and the father must be hemophilic in order for this kind of offspring to be received. And remember, the hemophilic fathers, they are unviable and the hemophilic female dies before being born. So that is the case. So hemophilia can be there when a person is a normal person, marries the carrier for hemophilia. Clear? So that is the case of hemophilia, which is yet again a recessive disorder in the sex-linked kind. Now we have sickle cell anemia. Now this disorder is again recessive nature but not X-linked, rather autosomal, meaning that here the body chromosomes are responsible and not the sex chromosome. So the gene for the sickle cell anemia is HB. So HB HBS is a normal sickle cell. You can say no, HbA and HbA are the normal condition. HbS is the mutated gene. So when HbA and HbS are going to be present together, the person will be normal, but will be a carrier. Here, you can't say whether this person is a male, whether this person is a female. Why? Because this is an autosomal disorder. You don't know the sex of the individual. Then there is HbS, which is the mutated gene. So the person that has sickle cell anemia, because of, you can say, in this disease, what happens is that their RBCs, instead of being biconcave in shape, they become sickle shape, which reduces the oxygen carrying capacity of the person. That is the case of sickle cell anemia. Now, can someone tell me? Before that, this disease is caused by which type of mutation? So, transversion, wherein the purine gets replaced by a pyrimidine, and here the beta globin chain is affected. So, in this case, the amino acid, that is glutamic acid, it gets replaced by valine at which position? So, at the sixth position of the beta globin chain. Now, because of this, under low oxygen tension, what happens is that the shape of the RBC changes. Now, my question is, can someone tell me that, okay, we know that this is a demerit only, the person is having a disorder, but how is this disease helpful in one way? Can someone tell me? Hmm? This disease is helpful in one way, very twisted way, but it is. Who can tell me?
Oh, ma'am, can you repeat the question?
The question is the sickle cell anemia disorder, it is a disorder, but in which case it is beneficial?
They protect against malaria.
Hmm. Malaria, right? When a person has malaria, in that case, the plasmodium attacks the RBC. But here, the RBC is not well enough for the plasmodium to dwell in. So that is why this is the case. Understood? Hmm?
Ma'am, can you explain again?
A person that has sickle cell anemia, that person can never get malaria. The reason being that the plasmodium, you can say the pathogen plasmodium, that is a protozoan, it requires RBC to complete its life cycle, right? It requires RBC to reproduce and everything, to go for the sexual and asexual cycles. But here, the RBC, instead of being that shape, biconcave and spacious enough, they are elongated sickle-like. So the plasmodium is not getting enough space for reproduction. Thereby, malaria is not a possibility for those people that have sickle cell anemia. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Then next, we have phenylketonuria. Now, phenylketonuria is the error of metabolism. Again, autosomal in nature, meaning body chromosomes are involved, and recessive disorder. Now, the individual affected by phenylketonuria, they do not have the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase synthesized. Now, this enzyme is responsible for converting the phenylalanine to tyrosine. But since the phenylalanine is not getting converted into tyrosine, so this phenylalanine starts getting accumulated and then it gets converted into phenylpyruvic acid. Now, the phenylpyruvic acid causes, or the accumulation of it causes the mental retardation. Clear? Now, moving forward, talking about thalassemia. Now, thalassemia is again the disorder that is recessive in nature and it is again autosomal in nature. How is it caused? It is caused because of mutation or deletion, the defect in the synthesis of globin chain. So if alpha chain of hemoglobin gets affected, we call it as alpha thalassemia. If the beta chain is getting affected, we'll call it as beta thalassemia. Clear? Now, in the case of alpha thalassemia, you have HbA1 and HbA2 genes that are affected. And in the case of beta thalassemia, the HBB genes on the chromosome 11 is affected. So, up until now, we have seen the various different kinds of Mendelian disorders that are there that are caused because of the gene mutation, point mutation. Furthermore, we have the difference between thalassemia and sickle cell anemia. So here, thalassemia is a quantitative problem wherein the number of the globin molecule is less. Sickle cell anemia is the qualitative problem wherein not the right type of RBCs are found. Right? The RBCs are sickle shaped instead of being the shape that they were supposed to, that is biconcave. Then we have the genomatic mutation. Now, this is when the number of chromosome or the sets of chromosome they change, and that has an effect on the genotype, or sorry, the phenotype. We call it as genomatic mutation. Again, it's of two types, aneuploidy and euploidy. Now, aneuploidy is when the number of chromosome can increase or decrease, and it is not concerned with the set of chromosome. Single number, dual number can increase or decrease. Sets of chromosome, euploidy is concerned with. So now monosomy and trisomy, wherein one extra or three extra chromosomes are added, that is aneuploidy. The case in which haploidy or polyploidy, wherein sets of chromosomes are there, we call it as euploidy. So monosomy is when there's one less chromosome. Nullisomy is when two less chromosomes are there. And lastly, 2n plus 1, that is one extra, is trisomy. So with respect to genomatic mutation or the chromosomal changes, there is chromosomal disorders. Three of them we have to study. There's Down syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome, and Turner syndrome. So Down syndrome, it was described by Langdon Down, and this disease occurs because of the trisomy of chromosome number 21. Now here, what happens? The person that has the trisomy, that person has a short stature, small round head is present, the tongue is furrowed, then the palm is broad with a lot of crease on it, there's a big wrinkled tongue, and all sorts of physical, psychomotor, mental abilities are retarded or underdeveloped. They have almond-shaped eyes that are sort of slanted. Furthermore, this was the first disorder that comes under the chromosomal disorder. Then we have the Klinefelter syndrome. Now, Klinefelter syndrome takes place in the case of males, wherein the male has an extra copy of X chromosome. Normally, a male is supposed to have XY type, but here XXY type is there. So, why is it happening? Either when an abnormal egg that contains two chromosomes combines with the normal sperm, or in the case wherein the normal egg is combining with an abnormal sperm. So, such a person is sterile. Since they are male, so they have overall male build, but they have female characteristics in them as well, like feminine voice, gynecomastia, that is development of breast, and basically overall masculine development with female characteristics. And this is because of that just one X chromosome. Imagine how crucial chromosomes play a role in our life. Then we have the last disorder, that is Turner syndrome. Turner syndrome is the one that is caused due to monosomy, wherein it can be caused either because of the fusion of an abnormal egg that doesn't contain any sex chromosome, neither X nor Y, or with a normal sperm that contains the X. Mostly Turner syndrome is the one associated with the females. Then second case is when the normal egg and the abnormal sperm combines. So in this case, the female is sterile. They do not have properly developed sexual organs and they lack secondary sexual characters. So chromosomal disorders are clear. Any doubts up until now, students? All right. Also, as far as this chapter is concerned, now we are only left with one topic, and that is the pedigree analysis, which we will discuss. But first, you people solve some questions. Then we'll come on to the pedigree analysis. Now, while solving the questions, if you people get any doubt about this thing, the pedigree, you leave it because we'll discuss pedigree separately. So, do you people remember the question number that you were doing? Anyone?
I have to start from 15th.
15th.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now you people solve it. Then we'll discuss the thing, pedigree analysis. Done, students? Shall I scroll down?
Yes, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
All right, everyone's done till here, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, students, so we're going to keep it till here only for today, and we'll continue in the next class.
Ma'am,
All right.
thank you.